Hey, welcome to the Brothers from the CLE. This is our second podcast. If you missed our first one, check it out on YouTube. It was the top 50 teams in the last 50 years in Cleveland from 1970 to 2020. Um, we got 83 views and 11 subscribers. So this is going to be our second podcast. We're going to split this one in half. This will be our top 20. Again, this is our top 20. Doesn't necessarily have to be your top 20. This is the top 20 players from the last 50 years, from 1970 to 2020. All right. And they had to play in the city of Cleveland. And again, what we're basing it on is longevity, performance, um, all stars, all pros in certain moments, like Robert Ory hits big shots in NBA Finals, even though he doesn't have the longevity of a Magic Johnson or a LeBron James.
More
He
rings.
he has more rings, but he showed up in big moments. So those type of players might or might not show up on our list. So again, you can make comments on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you agree with and don't agree with. So again, I'm Richard Flowers. Um, this is my good friend Steve Gerald. We've been friends for 30 plus years. Again, we played at Brookside High School.
Like
That
40.
if
40.
40 years. So if you don't know where Sheffield Lake is, Brookside High School, it's between Lorraine and Cleveland. And if you want to get any closer, it's between Lorraine and Avon Lake on the lake. So
On the lake. On the lake.
right on the lake, uh, still sitting there. Not too much has changed with
No,
Sheffield Lake. Our
no,
Cardinals
just
are
how you know
still
stuff
going.
is progressing is the bigger the boat that Jimmy Woods has, right? Right?
Well, then things are progressing.
It's
Then
progressing.
things are
He's
progressing.
progressing. He's progressing.
Global warming has been good to Captain Jimmy Woods.
And we know where he is
It's
right
been good.
now. Dude,
Yeah,
that's the
he's
funniest thing.
coming
Boy,
in because
about
it's
3 years ago, he sends me, he goes, look where I'm doing. I mean, he's got snow all in his beard, and he's got like a snowball there, right? I caught 7
yeah
fish.
at that.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he was in Alaska.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
hey man,
Never
it's
works.
not a job when you find something that you love to do, and this is not this is great. This is like Steve and I. We decided to put this on podcast. We talk about this virtually every time we talk. We're talking two, three, 4 times a week.
Crazy.
Um,
Hey, let me tell something about
so
Jimmy. This time, you're talking about competitive, right? So,
yeah,
went out on his boat, went in that beginning of September, did great. But halfway through, it wasn't going as well as Captain Woods wanted. And I
right.
said, hey, man, we're still having fun. This is great. He grabs me and says, we're not having fun. This week, that's our limit. Do you understand that? And I go, yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, he runs his boat. We're
Serious,
getting.
man.
He don't want
Fish
to
and
go
foul,
until we
right? Fish and
to
foul.
to get the limit. And Jimmy Woods, we speak of Jimmy Woods. He's also uh, he's in the Hall of Fame with our track team. So Jimmy was a captain along with myself.
J.W. Hooker.
Um, what's that?
J.W. Hooker. Sorry, Jimmy. Let me shank 2 against Wellington. Make Richie cry for 40 years.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Sad but true, man.
Shots fired. Hope
Oh,
Jimmy
man.
doesn't look at this.
He will.
Um,
Sorry, Jimmy. Love you,
yeah,
man.
you get emotional about your losses. They
I know.
always
I
stick
feel
with
you.
you.
I feel
We
you.
had a lot of great wins in all three sports, but
That'd be the
uh,
first. If we'd have won that game, that'd have been the first non-losing season because it'd have made us 5-4 in
yeah,
Brookside in like 20 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
Crazy. And would
You
have
know,
made the state playoffs. Beat Ridgeville the next week. Would have went 6-4 and went to the state playoffs because Wellington was number 1 in the state. Oh
yeah,
well.
they end up losing the regional finals, and that's when only one team got in. Yeah, um, but
Add a little bit on the
who-
criteria too, like all-time leaders, um, whatever category I think played into this too.
right?
And we got some people on here that I think people won't know who they are, but I think once
Yeah,
we explain some of the stuff, they will. And I'm
right.
gonna nod out to my father.
So,
I'm one of the picks, so
what's that about your dad?
the one of them I'm gonna talk about because this was like his favorite player.
Right, right.
Yeah, and he,
And
I mean, he had a certain point of view on this, and may have been correct. May have been correct.
yeah, yeah. Um, he was. I remember him. Um, so before we go on, and we just like again. Um,
And by the way, let's add up to this too, right? We're wearing calves. He's got his Austin. I got my LBJ. The only thing that I didn't pretty much throw away in 2010. Then I got my Cleveland. Shout out to the Cavs. Not sure about the pick last night. Charles Barkley
wine,
liked it. He's
wine and
I didn't know
gold.
this. Highest drafted Auburn player along with Charles Barkley at number 5 ever. Barkley went number 5 in 84. This guy went number 5 this year.
Yeah. So on our October 26th of this year was the first time we did our show. Today, obviously, is after the Cavaliers draft. I'll just say this real quick. You draft a wing player that averages 12 points a game from the SEC, that is a football conference, when you had a lot of talent still on the board. I don't understand it. I know a lot of factors went into why LeBron James left us twice, but I got to believe things like this factored into it. I don't agree with the pick.
Maybe.
I was on, I called several people so they know I was on record with Obi, but I
Called me.
always, I, I always, when there was just big things happening, hey, and I admit when I was wrong. I was on record that Ryan Day wasn't going to be a good coach. Some quarterback that played Division III football in New
New
Hampshire, but
Hampshire.
I was
No,
proven
no, not Division 3, 1 AA. He played
one
against the
double
Herd.
A.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wrong. I'm wrong and I'm happy to be wrong. And I'm hoping I'm wrong here. And then, I make some comments on Facebook and guys say, well, he's a defender. I said, well, you're telling me he's a role player. We're not in a position to be a role player.
Number 5 pick, hard to be a role
Cavaliers
player.
not
Now, I would say this.
a role
He
player.
seems to be good.
Gotta put the ball in the hole.
I know. Seems to be good character, works hard. They're saying that his shot is a lot better. I mean, he hadn't played for 8 months. He's 19. I don't know. I'm not sure. I saw him play
12
twice.
points a game, and the first thing they say on the on the draft show is he needs to work on his shot. Man, I was done. But
We'll see. We'll see. I hope
we're gonna.
I
Uh,
hope
and one
I hope
last
it works
thing,
out.
we got my trifecta up here. If you notice, you got my trifecta. You got the wine and gold. You got the Buckeyes, and you got the Cleveland Browns. That's my trifecta up there. And I added a little bit from 1983.
Oh,
Various
man, see, I
remarks.
didn't have mine in storage. So I've got my Cavaliers championship hat, a banner from the 80s, Browns,
Right.
the championship thing, and a Browns blanket, plus another championship. So I don't have my Indians yet. We'll get that out here soon. So we'll add to this, make it
We'll
better.
work on that. So, so we're gonna go through 20 from number 20, the 20th best player from the brothers from the CLE all the way to the 11th.
Right.
Um, so just hang in there. Hope you enjoy this show. Let everybody know about it. If you guys want to get some shout out and you want to get some sponsors, hey, we're looking to do T-shirts and whatever, and really spread the word. So without further ado, we'll start at number 20. Um, I'm the setup man, and Steve's the home run hitter. So this will be, just spoil alert, this will be our only non-pro athlete on here, and it's
But deserving.
Kevin Mouse Madden of the Cleveland State Vikings. We talked about this in our previous podcast. Just great run, excitement for the Vikings. Just uplifted Cleveland, made it to the Elite Eight. Some big schools in Indiana, lost to Navy. Um,
70-69.
Mouse was special. Mouse things about Mouse is I don't think he played a one quarter of varsity basketball. He was found in the parks by Kevin Mackey, found in the parks of New York City, um, and he got recruited here. So Kevin Mouse McFadden, Cleveland State Vikings, is number 20. Steve, your thoughts on the Mouse? They used to
Um,
throw cheese. Remember, they
yes,
used to
they
throw
did.
cheese.
Back
Used to
in,
throw
was it
cheese.
what played at Woodland Gym? Woodland
Woodland
Gym.
Gym.
Woodland Gym, right
Wow,
connected there to the
that was a
natatorium, right? Right?
yeah.
Sweet.
Channel
So,
43, right? Games were
right.
on Channel
Yep, Channel
43.
43. Run and
All right,
stun. We talked about the little bit last time, but you're looking at the all-time leading scorer, 2,256 points, three-time first team all mid-continent, right? Um,
mid continent.
Gone, and he's all-time leading scorer in the history of that conference. It is no more, but that was a good conference. I mean, that was a good
All-time
conference.
leading scorer in the
All-time,
history of that conference.
all-time leading scorer. Then you got to look at not only did he take the team to the '86 NCAA's, took them to two other NITs. One where they went to the Elite Eight there, and then one to the Sweet 16. So you're talking about somebody that came off the
Great,
street, never played high school ball, played. I
right?
think if I'm not mistaken, they found him at the Rucker. I think he played at the
Okay,
Rucker. I am pretty
right.
sure. Goes on and basically becomes the greatest player in the history of Cleveland State basketball. I mean, you got some other great
In the
players.
history
Frank,
of you didn't tell me. I didn't know he was an all-time leading
all-time
scorer
lead
in the
scorer
mid.
mid-continent. But you're looking about,
Who was in the mid continent? Was it Detroit Mercy, U of D,
yep,
University of Detroit?
Loyola Chicago.
Okay,
Um, I think the regular Loyola. Um,
okay,
and I'm gonna tell you, I think Butler was in that then. I
okay.
believe Butler was in it, and maybe Valparaiso.
Valpo,
I think
Valpo.
DePaul was in it and then left. I
Yeah,
think they left, but I mean, it was a good conference. I mean, it was a good conference.
and
Good basketball conference.
I know
Eh,
we brought in some you know I'd say Mouse and Franklin Edwards, best two players in Cleveland State history.
and then Darren
And
Tellis
Franklin Edwards went on and had an NBA career with the 76ers.
sure did.
So
They were talking about today, Charles Barkley, when he's talking about Okora. Is that how you pronounce our draft pick's name? That actually they freed up money because then they had a hard cap and they didn't have enough money to sign him as a number 5 pick. How far have we come? He signed a 4-year, $2 million deal, but in able to do that, they had to trade Franklin Edwards and somebody else off the team. So, but you also remember Darren Tillis, big 6'11" guy. Why I know
yeah,
him is he coached at Marshall too, but he went on and played
okay,
what 5 years with the Celtics. So it's not like Cleveland State was
okay,
a barren of basketball. We talked about this before, but you're talking about the Franklin Edwards, Darren Tillis years, and he had a little bit of down. Then you came up with Mouse, and all the stuff went on with Kevin Mackey, which unbelievably revolved around Manute Bowl, which is crazy. Driving him down the street for English classes at Case Western Reserve, you get put on probation. It's like they always say, the NCAA was mad at Kentucky, so put Cleveland State on probation. Um,
yeah. I
good,
mean, I don't. Kevin Mackey had some off the court issues. I don't. I'm sure he would have moved. He would have moved up if he didn't have those issues. But I felt like we would have had another coach come in there and kept that program going. We just had a big skip, made a great arena off of that '86 team, and just we really haven't um, captured that magic again down
you
there.
had the 1 year. You had the 1 year with Norris Cole
Norris
and
Cole, we
and
made
the
it
and
into
the
the
guy, the head coach that was at Cleveland, not Cleveland State, Kent State, and then
yeah,
Gary Waters, and then went to
Gary
Rutgers
Watt.
and blew up.
Yeah,
Came back and
came
had a
back.
nice run, and they beat God. Who did they beat? Miami of Florida. Who did they beat the crap out of somebody? Wake
Right.
Forest. They beat Wake Forest. Wake Forest in the first round, made it second. Was that probably not 2003, 2004, right into there? I don't know.
I think they need to get a regional coach. Regional coach. There's a lot to offer. This isn't the Cleveland, Ohio, downtown Cleveland that
No,
we
I
grew
agree.
up in. I
Well,
mean,
and a
that
great
was a
arena. Great arena.
great arena. The best arena in that conference, the best
Oh, I
arena in the
think no question.
Horizon, no
Yeah,
doubt.
no
Best
question.
best arena, best
Well,
arena.
the guy from Florida State, I don't know his name, brought him up. Seems like he's doing a good job from what I can tell of regionalizing the recruiting and brought in some guys. We'll see.
This is hard to gauge with this crazy COVID going
Yeah,
on right now. But
right.
I mean, I tell you what, there's a lot to help you recruit when you're talking about the CSU campus, all the things that
Nice
are going on
campus.
in Cleveland.
It's a
Yeah,
nice
and
downtown campus. It's all right there.
nice downtown urban campus, and I mean, you can get right out to the metro parks in 10 minutes in a car. I mean, there's so many things to do.
Well, that and it's
Um,
great for like internships too. I mean, that's always a big thing.
right,
That's why,
and you've
you know,
got
when you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's harder to get internships. You don't have to
right,
move
you
and
got three
pick up somewhere in
professional
the summer.
right, you got three professional teams here
Correct.
in Cleveland. So there's a lot to offer. So number 20, Kevin Mouse McFadden, as Steve said, off the courts
The
of Rucker
park.
Park in
Following some people with
Harlem, New
Dr.
York.
J and Eric the Gult Mangolt, right? Fly Williams, all those
Yeah,
guys.
right.
Legends.
Connie Hawkins
Bonnie Hawkins. Yep.
said they either he got to raise the floor because Connie Hawkins can't play no more. All right, so we're gonna go with number
You ever
19.
see
Number 19.
you ever see those old pictures of that? Like the year
Yeah,
Dr. J showed
yeah,
up and the people are up in the
yeah,
trees. I mean, good Lord.
yeah.
Crazy. You imagine doing
They
that
were
now?
hanging.
Do you think Nike would let LeBron go out and play at Rucker Park on the asphalt?
Oh
Oh my, they have a
man, Kobe
stroke.
Kobe played there.
Kobe did. He did.
LeBron was
Giving up.
supposed to. He was supposed to go with the big man, the big Puerto Rican cat. That's the rapper. And they put all their money together, and then
Never gonna do a team.
LeBron
No, wouldn't
showed
do
up.
it.
Yeah, he didn't.
He could
He
play
wouldn't
out
do it. It
there
was
with
too
what's
much.
that kid's got Mark Jackson's brother, the Escalade.
Yeah.
You ever see him?
Okay.
What was the professor? What was that when they
Yeah,
had
the
the
professor.
he could
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah,
Professor couldn't handle
and
the
the
rock
one
though as
tour.
much as Jason Williams. Jason Williams would have let you know
Yeah.
his birthday was just say
Yeah, I know.
45. White chocolate.
Yeah. White chocolate.
Sweet.
White chocolate.
Marshall
Yeah.
boy.
Though he doesn't
Well, he went to high school
so
with Randy. How about
right,
that?
high school Randy, West Virginia.
Yep, DuPont
Oh
High.
man. Fat Joe. Fat Joe was the
Okay,
rapper that
gotcha.
got the money together. And it was a battle. So without we could talk about we could talk everything about basketball and everything related to um I clearly Mouse is a urban legend and a CSU legend.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have Mouse McFadden at number 20. We're gonna go with Jerry. We're gonna go at number 19. A lot of you guys might not know him. I remember him. He was off the 1972 Cleveland Browns team that took the undefeated Miami Dolphins that everybody talks about to the brink. Um, Injuries are part of sports. Um, if he didn't get injured, you don't know where his career would have ended up being. So we got Jerry Shirk, number 72, defensive tackle, Cleveland Brown. Take it away, Steve Gerald.
So you got somebody, and this was saluted to my father. He was 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first team All Pro, 3 times All AFC. My dad swore this until he passed away in 2012. Jerry Shirk was on the first team with me and Joe Green. So you're talking about right during the part of the Steel Curtain, during the Doomsday defense, right? The end of the
Right.
no-name defense, or the no-name defense of the Dolphins, and then you had uh, Fred Dryer and all those guys for the Rams out there,
Good,
and
good team.
he was the starting tackle. You're talking about somebody that in 1972, when there wasn't a lot of passing game, 10.5 sacks, 95 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 14 games. In his career, 69.5 sacks. Again, that's number one. We use this correct number one in the history of the Cleveland Browns. ahead of Clay Matthews, and on surging Myles Garrett, who's already got 40.5. But he ended up blowing out his knee, came back, had a great year, and then had a boil on his arm, played in that, whatever you want to call it, horrible AstroTurf field at Veterans Stadium, and got a staph infection, about died. Came back in 80, tried to play during the cardiac kids years, but wasn't able to really play and give it his all, and then had to retire. And my dad swore he was better than me and Joe Green. And I remember him, excuse me, and Walter Johnson just stuffing the run all day long. But you're talking about 69 and a half sacks, basically in 5 years.
From an interior lineman.
From an interior lineman in a non-passing era of football. I mean, it's crazy. And 4 sacks in one game. In the 72 playoffs, he sacked Greasy twice. I mean, it's a heck of a career, and it's somebody probably people don't know about. And but he was a great player. And I think if you extrapolate it out and give him another 4 good years, and he gets what, 30 sacks, maybe 25, you're talking about 90, 100 sacks in that era. I mean, that's Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. And you're talking about averaged 100 sacks or 100 tackles a year for 4 years. Crazy.
He's a dual threat
yes.
dual threat interior lineman because he is a run stopper. At that time, they valued run stoppers. Unlike now, where defensive linemen just play the run through their pass rush. They look for the pass rush, and if the guy happens to run, they play it. So he was dominant in the run game and in the passing game. Jerry Shirk, number 72 for the Orange and Brown, Cleveland Browns. Better watch what we can get some sponsors here, Steve. You got a Yeti up there? Shout out to Yeti.
What is it? Giant, yeah, that's what it is. Stealing it off Graham.
Sponsored. Right. So, recap real quick. Got Mouse McFadden at number 20, Jerry Shirk at number 19, and then we were going 18. We
debated this one
around a little bit, and it was didn't play long enough. He had a lot of success after he left. So that kind of like bothers you as a Cleveland fan. But we're going with CC Sabathia, pitcher of the Cleveland Indians. Just got finished watching with my brother-in-law the story of Damon Stringer.
Oh, gotcha.
Damon Stringer's story is on, I believe, Showtime. Showtime. Okay. Check it out. There's actually a guy, I believe Tony Horn was the executive producer. He's the guy from Lorain, Ohio. And it's the story of Damon Stringer. If you don't know the story of Damon Stringer, him and CC Sabathia crossed path. Take a look at it. I forgot the name of it, but go ahead and Google Damon Stringer. Damon Stringer played basketball at Cleveland Heights, first team All Ohio, lost in the state finals against Zanesville at St. John's Arena, went on and led the team in scoring at Ohio State as a freshman, played 2 years. A couple other knuckleheads got involved with the program. They let Randy Ayers go. So that's another story that we can talk about. But him and CC cross paths. And that's another story. There's just so many Cleveland stories. I can just go on and on and on. But that's CC Sabathia, number 18, Cleveland Indians. Take it away, Steve Jarrell.
So you're talking about somebody that played 7 years, basically, with the Cleveland Indians, was drafted when he was 18, played almost when he was 26. I guess he technically played 7.5 because we traded him halfway through the 2008 season. Right. But you're talking about somebody that won 106 games, 3-time All-Star, and our first Cy Young in 33 years. Gaylord Perry, who we'll mention, won it in 1974. And we didn't have another one for 33 years. We've got a little bit spoiled because CC wins it in 2007. Cliff Lee wins it in 2008. And then you get Kluber wins it 2 out of 3 years. And then this year we get Shane Bieber. So we've had 5. But DC was instrumental. Pitched a great game as a rookie against the Seattle Mariners in the playoffs. We had it won and blew it. Lost that one. And then he was on the 2007 team that had the 3-1 lead against the Boston Red Sox and seemed destined to win the World Series there, and just lost a 3-1 lead. Just didn't catch a break. Had the day off, which made no sense between games 4 and 5, and lost the momentum. But you're talking about Cy Young, 3-time All-Star, in 106 wins. I think it's 11th in the history of the Indians. And he's 14th in the history of the Indians in strikeouts. So I think he needed to be in there. Left, wanted the money. The Indians weren't going to pay it, and we traded him to Milwaukee. Ended up working out in the long run for us. We got Michael Brantley out of it. Matt Laporta was supposed to be the big piece, but he ended up not ever being anything. But, Michael Brantley went on to become a 4-time All-Star and had a really nice career for the Indians. But CC Sabathia, I believe, with the Cy Young and the 3 All-Stars, deserves to be in there.
CC Sabathia from the East Bay, number 18.
What did it
So
stand for? Was it Carmine?
East
What was it?
Bay,
Is that what
East
it was?
Bay, Oakland.
Yeah, but
That's
what was the
East East.
CC? Carmine something?
I have no idea. I don't even know Sabathia. I don't know. I don't know. On here, we grew up next to the International City in Lorraine, so
Sure.
um, we we'll talk about race. At least I'll talk about it. I don't know any other black person named Sabathia. I never heard that name. I don't know what that came from. I don't know if he's got a little bit of Haitian in him. I just remember when they first interviewed him in Cleveland and talking about you're a big guy. You didn't play football, Oakland Raiders, San Francisco 49ers, East Bay, all that rough and tough neighborhood. And he said, "Nah, man, I just played baseball, and if you didn't play baseball, then I didn't spend any time with you. You weren't my friend."
Big
So
boy, 6'7", 300 pounds.
yeah, in a time where he probably could have been a great tight end.
You're talking
So
about he is probably, and I think he won like close to 260 games. I don't know if you'll ever see 300 again, the way the pitchers are done now,
right,
where they come out and they just don't pitch as many games. And, they have the 5-man rotation, obviously, but then they also give them breaks and all that.
so
He's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer in 3 years. I mean, I don't know if it's first ballot, but man, you're talking about he won a world championship. He didn't win I don't think he won a Cy Young with the Yankees, but you're talking about that many wins. I think ended up going to the playoffs twice with us, once with Milwaukee, and I think 6 times with the Yankees. He's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame because I mean, you're looking at him. I don't know how many games Verlander's won. I think he's won over 200, but he's out for all next year with Tommy John. He may be the last guy that comes close to winning 300 games. I mean, I don't see it.
right,
Too hard to do it. You're talking about winning 20 games for 15 consecutive years, or 15 for 20. That's a lot of wins.
right. So that's number 18, CC Sabathia, Cleveland Indians. So we're gonna go to number 17, 17 on our list, and again, to recap our last three: Kevin Mouse McFadden at number 20, Jerry Shirk, number 72, the Orange and Brown, at number 19, CC Sabathia, number 18, number 17. A lot of you young ones don't know this. Tom Darden. Tom Darden played for the Sandusky Blue Streaks in the great tough Buckeye Conference, a conference that I grew up in. And then unfortunately, he went up and played for the team up north.
Bad.
And then Cleveland Browns drafted him in 1972. And he was a defensive back for the Cleveland Browns. Tom Darden, number 17. Shoot those numbers to us, Steve Gerrard.
Yeah, you're talking about the 1972 AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year. Made 4 Pro Bowls. Was first team All NFL twice. And I think a big stat is led all-time leading interception leader in the history of the Cleveland Browns with 45, which is 16
But he had
more than the next highest
nine
guy.
his rookie year. But he had 9 his rookie
9
year.
his rookie year. And I think he had a pick in the 72. You're talking about really good defense now, right? I mean, you're talking about
Right.
Darton, and then you had Clarence Scott, who's like second or third, maybe third, and then you had Jerry Shirk, Walter. He had a nice defense. Um,
Right.
who was it? What was
72
Mike? Was it Mike Babbage? I think was one of the
Mike Babbage.
Babbage, and I don't know if Dick Bam Bam was on. Well, he came afterward, I think maybe. But Ambrose was like, we had a nice team. Head coach was Nick Skorich back then. Um,
Nick Sewage.
so
Right.
you're talking about somebody who's got 16 more picks than the nearest guy. I mean, that's a
Right.
lot. I mean, and again, as we talked with Jerry Shirk, 45 picks in an era that you didn't throw a lot from the
Right.
safety position.
Nine, not nine interceptions in the game. Right. He didn't throw a lot of power football.
Well,
18 sweep, student body. Right.
right? You're talking about 45 with the division Oilers, Steelers, Bengals, who
Right.
didn't
Right.
throw a lot. Nobody did really back then. And you're talking
Right.
about 45
Terry
picks.
Bradshaw, and Terry Bradshaw, even with the Steelers' success, he didn't really throw a lot.
No, when you're
Rocky
looking
Blyer,
about, I think Ronnie
Frenchie,
Lott. I think that's more picks than Ronnie Lott. I think you'd have
wow,
to look that up, but
Frenchie,
that's
Frenchie Fuqua,
right, right,
Rocky Blyer, and
right.
Franco Owens. Wow, Franco Harris. So number 17 is Tom Darden. Actually, I work with his cousin at the Cleveland Engine plant. He drives from Sandusky all the way to Cleveland at the Brook Park plant. They drive every day, though there's several people from Sandusky that do that. James Darden, he's a cousin of Tom Darden. So he's number 17. So as we
Man, what do
move
you
up
think?
the
Second greatest player ever out of Sandusky High? I mean,
second greatest player,
behind
the
Orlando
other ones are
Pace, right?
Orlando Pace, another blue streak. And from all accounts, from everybody I talked to at
His
work,
son.
good guy, good guy.
Isn't Orlando Pace's son like a freshman there at Sandusky? Is
Is that
that
what it
right?
is?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And they're
Well,
building a new school. Looked good when I drove by it. Was it last year?
really?
Maybe it was this. It was
Uh,
could have been this summer we went up there. Didn't get to go to Cedar Point, but was up that way. God,
Yeah,
miss Cedar Point.
he was also a great basketball player.
Oh
Just
yeah,
like he jumped around like a teddy bear, man. He just floated.
great feet.
Um, seeing, I remember seeing video of him dunking at the Shop Palace. So that's number 17, Sandusky Blue Streak, team up north in Cleveland Browns, all-time leading interception leader, Tom Darden. And then couldn't leave this guy off the list.
Pop it up.
Um, this our guy, Mr. Cavalier, Mr.
AC.
Cavalier. Do I really need to say it? Austin Carr, uh, from way down in Euclid. Um, Austin Carr, Mr. Cavalier, first draft choice, 1970 of the new franchise of the Wine and Gold Cleveland Cavaliers. Austin Carr. Before I hand it over to Steve to jot down the numbers, I went to the '97 All Star game, and I just remember Austin telling he was walking around and he gave a pair of tickets. I believe it was his cousin and his wife. And he's just talking about, hey man, I need to get my knee. If I didn't have that knee surgery, I'd be doing things like this too. Um, that we went to the dunk contest. It was actually Kobe Bryant's first dunk contest was in Cleveland, in 1997. He actually
Wow.
won that.
Yeah, he did win it.
Yeah, he did. He won it. Um, got to see who else do we see? Seen some guys from Boys to Men there. We seen Leon there. We seen Jim Tomey. So it was got real close to AC then, and just all around good guy. Love his telecast. Love his history. Um, tell you a story of Austin Carr. He big draft choice last night, right? Even though it was virtual, you had Adam Silver come out on the stage and everything. I mentioned this in our first podcast, Brothers from the CLE first podcast. Uh, it's, it's on YouTube right now. You can go ahead and tune into that one while you wait. Why for this one, view this one. But he was just sitting in class at Notre Dame, was just sitting in class. Someone opened the door and said, "Hey, you got drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers." He said, "Oh," and times have changed. Would have been 19 fall of 1970, right? Or 69. So spring of 70. So with we're gonna go on and on and on. He's probably gonna take most of our bottom 10 really close to our heart. Um, AC,
Austin
Mr.
Carr.
Cleveland Cavalier.
You're talking
Go
about a
ahead, shoot
guy.
those numbers.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about somebody that scored over 10,000 points, averaged 15.4 for his career, two-time All-Star, first team All-Rookie, I think, with Jabbar and some big-time players. And was the award winner for it was like a sportsmanship award in NBA. And you're talking about somebody that probably had stayed healthy, probably would have had 30,000 points. But as it is, third all-time leading scorer in the history of the Cavaliers, behind LeBron and Brad Daugherty, I believe. I don't think Z passed him, so he's either third or fourth. But you're talking about somebody that went to the All-Star game in 74. Back in 74, you're talking about a league that was loaded, and would have been one of the all-time greats. Absolutely for sure if he hadn't hurt his knee. I think he blew out his knee, what, 3 times? He had 3 ACL surgeries. And back then, they basically hacksawed it off and did all kinds of crazy stuff. He probably could have came back better. And maybe some of the surgeries, what they did with the meniscus, they were so invasive back then that he still would have been in play. But for a lot of reasons, we have him on his list here. Honestly believe he'd be in the top 3 or 4 if he hadn't got hurt. No question.
Yeah, he mentioned to his son, he said, you know, no, you're not gonna believe this. His son's growing up watching Michael Jordan. He said, I used to do those type of things, and there's no way his son would believe him. He sees his dad, walking around, you know. But AC had that big, huge afro. What did he hit? 60 on Ohio University.
And we figured this out last time. He was 63. It may have been 61, but it was over 60.
He was over 60 with no 3-point line.
Yeah, I think
AC
they said
made
70 with 3-point line.
70 with 3-point line. Hey, ah, Mr. Cavalier, remember? He said, I'm comfortable with my manhood when we got the last ball for the lottery for LeBron James, and he just started crying and raised that fist up. Uh,
Great moment.
I don't know anybody that can say a bad thing about Austin
No,
Carr, not in the
no,
Cleveland area.
no. And none of those Miracle Richfield guys. Bingo. I mean, Campy's still involved with the team. Jones is still involved with the team, right? So that's some great team. Reading that
You
book.
know,
Reading that book right now. Miracle Richfield about the 76 Cavs. Great book.
what was who was his buddy that did the telecast before Tim Alcorn came along? Who
Fred
passed away?
McLeod.
It was
Fred McLeod.
McLeod.
One of the greatest
Who,
moments, right? Where Beth
right,
McLeod was taping, where kind of interesting deal. They let him come into Oracle, played like the game was on, right? AC and Fred are doing the thing, but it was only being played back to the queue. Only back to the queue. And she's videotaping the last 30 seconds when Fred breaks down and cry and AC. Kind of neat.
right. Then you say that with Campy had to go find AC at the gym.
Yeah.
Told him, he said he just broke down. Broke down.
Awful.
So
Yeah, they couldn't find when Fred passed away. They couldn't find AC, and they knew he was at the gym. And Campy says, I'll go get him," and just totally broke down. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen when they had him on Channel 3 talking about Fred McLeod. Just awful. I mean, he had just done the Browns Lions. I mean, he's originally Cleveland boy, Strongsville, I think, right? Strongsville
okay,
Hall of Fame. Played baseball at school in Pittsburgh, Division II, Division III, but it was evidently a pretty good player. But he got his start up in Detroit. So he did he was the main guy for the Bad Boys. He was very
okay,
close with Isaiah Thomas and John Sally, Lane Beer. Always wanted to come back in Cleveland. So he had come back to Cleveland. And back in the day when he was in Detroit, he did the Lions preseason games, and something happened with their guy. It's kind of ironic. So his last bit of broadcasting before he passed away on that Monday night was a Saturday or Sunday. He did the Browns Lions game with um, Chris Spielman.
Wow.
And the last picture that I think, besides a couple they made with his wife, was a picture of Spielman, Bernie, and Fred McLeod up there in the booth. And crazy. He last
Well,
couple things that
great.
I think he said on Twitter was talking about the Browns and was getting was upset at Freddie Kitchens because we had like 18, 18 penalties the first game of the year against the Titans last year. Sad, but boy, I tell you, we've had some good announcers. You think about you think about the Cavs announcer, Joe Tate, Hall of Famer, Fred McLeod, awesome. Guy they have now is good. But then you have Michael Regai, Flight 23. He was always
I remember
good.
Nev
Nev
Chandler.
Chandler. Oh God.
Yeah. Gib
Pandemonium
Chandler.
Palace. We've had
Yeah.
some good Gibb Shanley, Casey Coleman, his father.
Yeah.
And we've had some good
Cleveland's a
people.
sports town, man.
Yeah, big time.
Cleveland sports town.
Well, just think about this. I mean, people don't realize first sports talk show ever, Pete Franklin.
Pete Franklin.
That was the first
Pete,
one.
Pete, your dog meat. Get out of here,
Pasadena
boy. Go
Pete.
gargle. He said, go gargle with some razor blades.
Nice.
Someone called in and said, hey, he goes, what do you think? I'm supposed to be sad about the kid. He's talking bad about me. So,
Pete was
yeah,
great. He was
yeah. I
great.
used to listen to Pete with my dad when he's taking me back home on Sundays. So, recap our first five is Mouse McFadden, Cleveland State Vikings, number 20. Number 19, Jerry Shirk. Number 18, CC Sabathia, the Cleveland Indians. Number 17, Tom Darden. And number 16, Mr. Cavalier, AC Austin Carr.
Yes, sir.
So this will be 15 through 11. Um, he had a great. He had to add this in. He had a great sandwich. And you're like,
Oh, here you go. Yes, sir.
yeah, he had that great sandwich, man. And I was like, man, that was a man sandwich. So we we were really digging deep, and then we were like, wow, how could we forget this guy? You know, he's one of the few guys where both of him and his brother were in the NFL. His brother had more notoriety, but our guy, the Cleveland Browns, Michael Dean Perry, he was better than his brother.
No
I
question.
don't care what anybody tells you.
Like him even though he went to Clemson.
Get to Clemson. Remember how he used to line up with the angle?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
lined up slanted. And Michael Dean Perry, the MDP at
MTP, bro.
McDonald.
Sir.
Yep. Yep.
Talking about a guy, I mean, just forget about him. Played for 7 years, 88 to
Yeah.
94. 4-time
Right.
Pro Bowler, 2-time
How
first team
many?
All Pro.
How
4
many?
times, 4 and 7 years, the Browns. He only played 9
Yeah.
years, technically 10. Second, well, third in the history of the Cleveland Browns in sacks. Again, interior lineman, 60.5 sacks. 60.5.
Right.
Caused 13 fumbles, which is, I think, third in the history of the Browns. He's a great player. He was a big time force. He was a rookie in 88 with Metcalf, and then was one of the leaders in 89. That led us to the trilogy with John Elway and the Broncos when
Right.
Bernie's hand was being held together by rubber bands. And we still had a chance to beat him. We were down 7, and they called Bubba Baker for a personal foul, and it just kind of dissipated from there on and lost, I think, 38-24 in 89. But that's the last AFC championship game we've been to, which
Yeah.
sucks.
Better of
But,
the two. Better of the two
oh,
brothers.
no question.
His brother might have got the notoriety of the
The
80s,
Fridge. People don't
86
remember him, huh? The Fridge.
Fridge. Yeah, the Fridge, but
Little
hey,
history.
Michael Dean.
Largest man to
Michael
ever
Dean
score.
was late.
Hey, but you know what? You think about that, though. All these years later, you have the ball at the 2-yard line, and you're killing the Patriots, led by who was that? Tony Eason. First time that they and you have the 86 Bears. or 85 Bears, excuse me, with all that great defense.
5.
And you're at the 2-yard line, and who do you give the ball to?
Right.
The fridge. Well, guess
Right.
who they didn't give it
Michael
to?
D.
No, they give.
Yeah.
Yeah, but guess who they think about who didn't score a touchdown for the Bears in that Super Bowl?
Sweetness.
Sweetness. I mean, why?
Didn't get it.
Why? I don't know.
Scaring on. Got any emotion.
No.
So
Well,
Michael Dean Perry is our number 15. So hang in there. We've got 4 to go. Steve's got him a little H2O. Get ready for this
talking too
final
much.
4. Um, in this final 4, we're gonna have duos. We'll have 2 duos that we really just couldn't separate.
One without the
Um,
other.
yeah, the pair. One of the pairs they came at the same time. They're like peanut butter and jelly. Um, just they just meshed, and then we just put some successful players around them. If you ask me, um, then you just one of the most powerful athletes I've ever seen in any sport. Could probably played any sport, and then we've got a young star that is still rising. This will be in our top 4. So, at number 14, I call him 50-50.
Dong.
You can call him a lot of things, but
Dong.
but you better not say to his face.
Oh,
AV Albert Bell
Albert Bell. I'm
from
gonna chase you. I'm gonna
LSU.
chase you down.
I'm gonna chase you
I'm
down.
gonna run you over.
He's chased those kids down as an
Oh,
explorer.
people probably
But
don't remember that though, Rich.
yeah, those kids are knocking at his door. Hey, they better thank the heavens
Where was
that
he
Albert
living? Was
Bell.
it in Euclid? Is that where he was
I don't
living?
know where he is at, but he said they better thank the heavens that Albert Bell didn't catch him.
Oh
Because
man.
hey, it'd have been a problem. It would
Hey,
have been nothing nice.
hey, I was at the
Hey,
game.
Albert
Oh,
Albert ain't nobody to play with.
so
That
do you
that's the
remember
wrong guy to play with.
Albert probably was
Albert Bell, the Cleveland Indians.
Albert Bell, second all-time leading home run hitter behind Jim Thome. Actually was the leader
Right.
for several years before he went to the White Sox. Would have been in the Hall of Fame if he hadn't hurt his hip. Had basically the same injury but in baseball that Bo Jackson had in football. Weird. It's just never the
Hell of
same
an
again.
athlete.
Oh, unbelievable athlete.
He could have played. He could have been
Oh,
a hell of a football
dude,
player.
the way he
Just
hit
hey,
Fernando Vina that one time with the forearm when he wouldn't get out of his way, he about killed him.
lift,
I mean, literally
lift.
intense. Well,
He
you're
was no
looking
kid
about,
to play with.
hey, I was at the
Intense
game,
is the right word.
right? I was at the game where, he was Joey Bell. And he was, if people don't remember, he was an alcoholic. There was a lot of problems. He was down in the
Right.
flats. Indians were mad at him, kept sending, I went to rehab and he came back and he was going by Albert. And they were up
Albert
in the
Joey
stand.
Bell.
Yeah, people were up in the stands chanting Joey, Joe at the old municipal stadium, and it had been left field.
Right.
And I was sitting over there, and you could see him go. And I'm like, what is he doing? Hey, these people sit down. You remember this? And he threw the ball. He was in.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, it was in between innings, and he threw the ball and hit one of those guys, and then right in the chest. From the he'd been in jail for 10 years now. Threw it about killed the guy. And he
Yeah.
got suspended from the league. And oh my God, man, he threw the ball, drilled him, just drilled him right here. Knocked the guy down. Guy next to me
Got
was
knocked.
laughing so hard he thought he was gonna die. Oh my God, what a
Hey,
story.
it's like you opened up with intense, intense.
Oh man,
Hey man.
dude,
Hey,
never
he
took
was
it a
one of the
bat off. And people are saying you're talking about the 50-50. You're talking about 50
50
homers, 50
50
doubles.
double.
Only 2 people in history
2
have done
home
that.
runs in the World Series.
Yes.
2 home runs in the World Series.
Albert Bell, Babe Ruth. That's it.
He hit one. Remember, he hit that one fastball opposite field home run.
Oh, he's the
Man, he's
man.
just so strong. He just
I
fought it off.
remember our first playoff game since 54, 1995. It's the same day that OJ was acquitted, which is weird. I don't remember why I remember that. So you remember we're down 3-2 or 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth.
Don't quit. You must have quit.
Yeah, and he
Don't quit. You must have quit.
all you hear was it's pouring the rain, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you hear this dong. and they start playing Hell's Bells. He comes up, cranks a home run. And that was the year where he got his bat confiscated when Ruben Amaro and those guys went up in the thing, got his bat.
Yeah.
And so they confiscated
Yeah.
it there. And Albert's looking at him, and there's what's going on. And he looks over at the Red Sox dugout, and he goes, "There's your effing cork." Great.
Intense, man.
AB.
Like I
Lord.
said, you can call them a lot of names, but I advise you not to
Hey,
do it in
you ever heard
person.
that story from about 4 years ago? So they're doing this round table in Scottsdale. Well, where is it Scottsdale? Where do they?
Yeah.
Goodyear, where the Indians and the Reds share that complex out there. And I don't know, it was Albert and I think it was Kenny and Andy or something. So they're asking him questions, and somebody, and I don't know if it was a media or one of the fans said, Mr. Bell, there was a lot of steroid use that went on during the 90s. You were never real accused of anything, but you had a lot of problems. Or anything you would like to say about that, whether you used or not? And Albert just looks out and goes, I never used steroids. I was just a very angry black man. Which was
Yeah.
true. That dude was mad. But boy, hey,
Can't.
competitor now, right? Wow.
Right.
Well, I wanted to win.
Intense.
What a win. He would have been in the Hall of Fame. Would have been in the Hall of Fame.
And just to think, all he needed was $9.2 million back then for the Cleveland Indians to keep him.
They didn't want him.
Pay it.
Guess not. John Hart.
That was
Stupid.
that's crumbs now as far as Major League Baseball power hitters.
I remember when he came back and everybody was throwing the fake Monopoly money at him out there in left field. And they booed him at the All-Star
Got
game in 96 or 97.
I believe we've got 6 Indians on our list, if I'm correct.
Great teams.
Albert Bell, Albert Bell
Think
deserves
about
to
that.
be
In our
on that all.
lifetime, we've
Great
been to
team.
three World Series.
Yeah,
We've been to 3 World
got to
Series
get
in the
us one.
last. Yeah, we got to get one.
Yeah.
Should have had 2 already.
Number 14, Albert Bell, the Cleveland Indians. Only two men hit 50 doubles, 50 home runs. Him and Babe Ruth. Great company. He's a number 14 on our list. Brothers from the CLE. So this will be our first of our 2 tandems. Our first of our 2 tandems. Lucky 13. We've got, it wasn't called what it's called now before these 2 guys. They made the term. The end zone at Municipal Stadium was just called the end zone. Get an end zone ticket.
Bleachers.
Bleachers. It was $5 at a baseball game. So these guys came up with this term, the dogs,
Dog defense.
the dog pound. Hanford Dixon and Frank Middlefield. We just could not separate these 2.
Can't.
Just this domination. Really, I played high school DB back then. They just played a style of football that you just weren't allowed to play at any other level. You always fooled around, but in game time, they were masters of the bump and run, masters of bump and run. I actually met Middlefield at one of the legends, and he was coming out, and I reached down, shook his hand. He really didn't want to shake my hand, and we shook it. I'm like, man, he's small, but he just has a huge hand. I said, there it is. That's the reason why. Huge,
Get your
strong
hands
hand.
on you. Oh, they played that bump and run. One
Man,
reason we put them together, one, there's that
right,
4-year stretch where they were both either first or second team All Pro, and they
right,
were Pro Bowl every year. So you're talking about 85 to 89. It was just lockdown city, and they were the key to that defense because you locked down. I mean, we didn't have to pick. We locked down both, and then you had what was it, Mark Harper in the slot, and then we had Don Rogers until he passed away. But you had Don Rogers, Felix Wright, who was another great Brown, Felix Wright, and Chris Rockins back there. You had
right.
some good safeties, but you're talking about we were talking about this before that they had a vote to name the best tandems in the history of the NFL at cornerback, and Top Dog and Mighty Minnie were number 2 behind Lester Hayes and Mike
Mike
Haynes,
Haynes.
Lester the molester, and
In the history of the NFL, what a tandem, man. What did you say? Hanford Dixon in 1 year only had
4 catches on
passes
his
completed.
4 passes completed
Completed,
on him all year. That's crazy.
like
Or and
six in it.
I think like the percentage was
Yeah,
like less than
in a 16 game
8%.
season.
You didn't throw on him. I mean, you didn't throw on the. I mean, how are you going to throw on the dogs? And it's a good story about how they started. They were trying to get everybody fired up and they're barking, and so they
Right,
started it. I mean, it's Top Dog and Mighty Mini. I mean, it
right.
just is.
It's the end zone. From that, the bleachers. They terrorized Boomer Esiason.
Oh,
Absolutely
and
terrorized.
Collinsworth, and
Oh,
Steelers couldn't do anything. I love all these Steelers fans. Let me tell you, in the '80s, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. Just mark it
yeah,
down. Did nothing. 7 out of 10 years, the
yeah,
Browns won the division. Where were you?
yeah.
Well, you better now. That's fine. It happens. Our turn. The worm is
And
turning.
eight, 8 out of 10 made playoffs.
Yes, sir.
So
3 AFC
we couldn't
championship games.
separate this duo. We couldn't separate this duo. So it's uh, Hanford Dixon, Frank Middlefield is number 13 on our list. What was it? Top Dog and Mighty Dog.
Mi-
Top Dog,
Mighty
um,
Mini. Mighty Mini.
Mighty Mini. Um,
Top dog.
to this day, the Cleveland Browns are making a ton of money off of
Off
that
them.
term.
Sure they do. Everything.
Dog,
And they started it. Started it
everything
back in
about
'85.
the yeah, 85.
But what a
Boy, it was
defense, though,
just the
huh?
bleachers.
Clay Matthews,
Yeah,
Chip Banks. You had Golick, Hairston, Sam Clancy, Mike Johnson, the
Bass,
late great, the assassin Eddie Johnson,
Eddie Johnson.
Mike Pazzulli, the Glacier. You remember that, the Glacier? And you couldn't do him with a stopwatch. You recorded his 40 time by the Glacier speed. Right.
Great era of Cleveland
Oh,
Browns football.
jeez.
So that's number 13. And then number 12 is a young fella, still a rising star, amazing player. Reports are that he's already going to leave. And
Sad.
of course,
Sad.
chance of going into the pinstripes or who's ever got the money. But, guys that went that path, Texas Rangers, no World Series.
Nope.
Um, uh, people went to California Angels.
Mike Trout.
Even A-Rod went. Ain't that it went? And it doesn't work that.
H-
So Francisco Lindor of the Cleveland Indians is number 12
Mr. Smile.
on our list.
So just think about this. So he's been in the league 7 years, 6-time All Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, which means the best hitter at his position, given home runs, batting average, slugging percentage. In an era of great shortstops. I mean, great shortstops. 2-time Gold Glove winner, but the
How
first
many
recipient,
times?
2. And then he's the first winner of the Platinum Award, which is given to the best defensive player in the league, regardless of position. The Indians have had 2 of them. Francisco Lindor won it, and then last year Roberto Perez. And you're talking about somebody that is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be. Sucks he's not going to be with us, but to be
Wish we
honest,
could find a way to keep him.
yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, you're talking about taking a team that had a payroll of 130 million at the end of 2017 and 2018. That once they get rid of Frankie, and we're going to be below 50. Going to be below 50, and that's what
Clearly, my
happens.
wife's favorite Cleveland Indian right now.
I remember we went. I mean, we got the jerseys with her dad, right? Mr. Smiles. My boys still wear it. Great player, smiling, great ambassador. It's just where we are. COVID didn't help anything. Probably wouldn't have signed him anyway. I don't personally think he's worth 30 to 35 million dollars.
As you guys say in baseball, as a 5-tool player, he just
Well, he
might
is.
be the
He
best.
is.
He arguably could be the best player in baseball right now.
Could be.
You know, yeah, yeah.
But if you sign
So
him, I don't know. It's a tough deal, and everybody gets on the Dolans. But to be honest with you, they've had the best. They've been the best ownership in the last 15, 20 years overall. Do a great job with the minor leagues, great job of developing players. Obviously, we draft unbelievably well, develop. We just don't pay, you know. I mean, I know they can blame it on the fans, where we only draw about 2.2 million. I don't know. You know, we're number one in ratings on TV and the radio and baseball. I don't know. I don't get why we don't draw more. Though we do great during the weekends. We sell out every weekend in the summer. We just don't do as well during the week. We don't do as well in April and May and
before the
when
kids
yeah,
before the
right. And
kids get
then
out of school.
right.
It's tough.
So well, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah,
They'll
I
love
mean
the
that's
tribe or whatever they're going to be
part
called, the force or
that
the
that's the
guardians or the
that's the market
walleye.
that we're in. That's another day and another story right there, Steve.
That is.
So before we get to our 11th and our last one, we'll go over. We'll talk about our honorable mentions. Um, we had just real quick. We had Gaylord Perry was our one of our honorable mentions. Um, Cy Young Award winner. Um, one of the few shining stars of the 1970s. So we felt like we had to put it in, and we didn't mention the spitter. So
Are you saying that Charlie Spikes wasn't a star or John Lowenstein or no?
one of the few shining stars along with Gaylord Perry. And then we've got Charles Nagy. What did he win? 126 games with the Cleveland Indians, and we
Four-time
won
All-Star?
four-time All-Star. Won two World Series games,
3.
or no, three,
3.
three, three, three. Okay. And then there's two guys that we didn't. There's two guys that we didn't mention. Manny Ramirez. Manny
Close.
Ramirez. Yeah. There's just so many. Um,
4th in the history of the
very
Indians in home runs, had
yeah,
143 yards and 1 RBI, plus any man that keeps all his paychecks in his in his dashboard and wants
right,
somebody to go out
right.
and buy him a Mercedes or
Jeez.
Manny
And
being
then
Manny.
another guy we didn't think about, we put on an honorable mention is Sandy Alomar,
Sandy Alomar.
1997 All-Star Game MVP. Um, he's the one that beat what was that? What is his name? Mariano Rivera
Hit the home
in the
run in game 4.
'97.
Divisional series.
Was it the division or the
Divisional
division
series.
series?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they
beat
played the Orioles in the
and
ALCS. Well, you're
he
talking
beat
about, and
them.
he was
And then
also the 1990 Rookie of the Year, our last Rookie of the Year, which is ridiculous. Kenny Lofton should have won Rookie of the Year. Lindor should have won Rookie of the Year.
right,
Sabathia should have won Rookie of the Year. Didn't get any of them. And that's another joke. We're talking about Albert Bell. Albert Bell in 95 with all his stats, batted 330, 50 whatever home runs, 52 doubles, and loses the MVP to Movan. Insane. Every statistical category, Albert was better.
right.
They just media didn't like him. A joke.
They didn't like Albert. They didn't like Albert. And then we had a team, the team we put in there, the Cleveland Force class Cleveland Crunch. Uh, they won 3 missile championships. Was it Major Indoor Soccer League?
Right.
I know they were very successful in the early '80s when we were in high school. Other than 1980, that's all we really had going on. Um,
And you gotta like any team that has Darth Vader as their mascot.
yeah, it was a different experience on Channel 43, and it was a fast-paced game. It was a fast-paced game, and that's when we didn't understand soccer as we do now. So the Cleveland Force class slash Cleveland Crunch was on an honorable mention. And then another one that we mentioned before, Steve and I, but we didn't talk about it today. Mike Mitchell.
Oh,
Mike
Mike Mitchell,
Mitchell.
that's right.
Mike
Yeah.
Mitchell, 1981, made the NBA All Star team, and we were in a drought there after '76 with the Ted Stepien years. So I believe Mitchell made the All Star game twice.
Twice and was 5th in the league in scoring, averaged 24.5 points per game in 81. I think
Mike
82 he
Mitchell.
averaged like 23 and a half.
Mike
You know,
Mitchell was just a
eh,
strong jumper dude. I mean, he had a nice game.
hey,
Just
there's another guy we could put in here too.
yeah,
World Be Free.
world be free.
Man who saved the
Yeah.
Cavaliers. I don't Did we talk
Hey,
about it on last one? Maybe not. World doesn't come in 1984-85 with George Karl. We may lose the Cavaliers. Cavaliers might have moved.
We had 9 games. We had won 9 games, and we ended up making the playoffs, getting the mini series against the Celtics.
Took them to the
I
brink.
remember, World B. Free played for the Sixers, and he said he went to the locker room. He said, "I don't know what you win or lose." He said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I got my 20," and that was the mentality of World B. Free.
And he could play.
And then this is the kind of guy that's a rising star, like Francisco Lindor is Miles Garrett. Was it 2017 defensive deep, deep defensive rookie of the year? Was
Right.
it right? Miles Garrett, a rising star, already number what on the list of sacks, Steve?
3.
3.
4.
No,
Excuse me.
third,
4.
third
4.
behind Shirt.
4. 4.
Behind Shirt.
Shirt. Clay
Michael Dean
Matthews.
and Clay.
Number
And
4.
yeah, nice,
40.5. Not
nice,
even through his 4th year.
right. So those are our honorable mentions.
It may be the highest. It probably would
Everybody.
be the highest we've had on a defensive player of the year since Michael Dean was 3rd or 4th in 1989. I think Michael Dean
Right.
was 3rd or 4th. We haven't had anybody. I mean, we had Jameer Miller had that one great year. He was probably top 10.
Right. So again, we'll recap. This is our second show of Brothers of the CLE. This is our second podcast. Our first podcast you can view on YouTube. It's also the best 20 teams in the last 50 years from 1970 to 2020, and this is our a recap of our 2020 through 12 of the best players in the last 50 years from 1970 to 2020. So number 20 was Kevin Mouse McFadden of CSU, Jerry Shirk of the Cleveland Browns, CC Sabathia of the Cleveland Indians, Tom Darden of the Cleveland Browns, Austin Carr of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Michael Dean Perry of the Cleveland Cavaliers is number 15, Albert Bell is number 14 of the Cleveland Indians, Hanford, Dixon, and Frank Minifield are number 13. Francisco Lindor is number 12. And our last duo of this list, you remember earlier we had Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield. They're inseparable. And if you're a Cleveland fan, you know these two players got in the same draft, came in at the same time, started our success in the early 90s. Couldn't be two different people, but man, they played together like superstars.
Big time.
Talking about Mark Price, the sharpshooter, really my second favorite Cleveland Cavalier, Mark Price, and then the big fella from North Carolina, from the Black Hills of North Carolina, Brad Daugherty. Steve, you go ahead. This is our final one. Go ahead and give us the numbers.
So you got somebody that's 3rd in the history of the Cavs in scoring with Daugherty, 2nd in the history of the Cavs in rebounding. Then you have Mark Price, who was a 3-time.
And in Oklahoma.
Yes. So you had Daugherty was a 5-time All-Star. Actually led the league in field goal percentage 4 times. Great. Was probably top 2 or 3 big men in passing. He led centers in assists 4 years in a row. Hurt his back. Would have probably been a Hall of Famer. That was the downfall of the Cavs with Price getting hurt and then Daugherty getting hurt. But you're talking about a guy that was 3rd-team All-Pro behind David Robinson and Patrick Ewing or Olajuwon. But he was one of the top 4 centers in the league when centers were big. I mean, you're talking about the centers back then. Ewing, Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Parrish. You had some good centers. Lane Beer. Kareem was still playing. But then you're talking about Mark Price as somebody that won the 3-point shooting twice, beat Larry Bird one year, and was 1st-team All-NBA backcourt The backcourt, 1992, when we went to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to the Bulls in 6 games. The Bulls didn't lose to anybody else. Backcourt, Michael Jordan, Mark Price. You're talking about an era where he was first team over Isaiah, John Stockton. I mean, you're a lot of really good things. And I saw in the interview with Isaiah Thomas on NBA TV, says the most underrated player when he played was Mark Price. And one reason why you put him together, Mark Price plays, and somebody mentioned this, and he really does. He plays a lot like Steph Curry. The way he would split screens, the way they would do it. That's the way the Curry plays. And you can imagine, you're talking about somebody that shot over 43%, all-time leading free throw shooter in the history of the NBA. At one time, had the second longest streak. I think he hit 94 straight free throws. You're talking about 96% for 1 year. It was 1 year where he missed 2 free throws the whole year. That's insane. 2 the whole year. But you're talking about they revolutionized the game. The way they did the pick and roll, pick and pop,
Pick and
the
roll.
way he would split the thing. And that's what Isaiah talks about. He actually created the point guard into what it really is now. I think Mark Price doesn't get enough credit. And why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, I do not know, because you're talking about great career at Georgia Tech. I mean, Brad had a great career at UNC, but the way that they played, if they hadn't got hurt, I mean, they weren't even in their prime yet when both of them got hurt. Um, obviously we talked about the trade of Harper was just horrible. And you're talking about a great draft. We talked about this before, but you're talking about Doherty was number 1. Harper was 5 or 6 out of Miami, Florida. We got in a trade, we got Price with the first pick of the second round. And I'm pretty sure that's the year that we got Hot Rod Williams, where he had the problem with the point shaving at Tulane, which he was later exonerated out. But you're talking about 4 great players in the history of the Cavs, all in one draft. And you can't separate them. I mean, Price and Doherty, they just did it all. I mean, they did it all. And a great team. And you're talking about a fun team to watch. Everybody shared the ball. I mean, Nance, Hot Rod, and then you had Mike Sanders when he got in there, Elo.
Four players off that team averaged 20 points or more.
Great. They were a great team. I mean, unfortunately, they just couldn't beat, I mean, like the Browns couldn't beat Elway. We couldn't beat Michael Jordan. But I'm telling you, we took them to him. I mean, it's not like, the one year we got swept, but every other year we took them to, 5 games in a 5-game series. Twice we took them to 6 and 7. It's like what happened with LeBron with teams. Well, you can get close when LeBron played with the Cavs. NBA is a little bit different than baseball or football. You got the best player, you're probably gonna win, and that's what happened. And he just beat us.
Went to Eastern Conference semifinals against the New York Knicks the year of the shot, and I watched Mark Price tear Mark Jackson's
Oh,
ass.
killed him.
Killed him.
Killed him.
Killed him. Killed him. Mark shot 71% from the field, and I think it was Game 5.
Did we talk about how
Against
he got hurt in '93? I mean, it really was. I mean, he got his foot caught at the old Omni in one of those signs that went up and down. It blew out his knee, and then he got plantar fasciitis, and then we drafted Terrell Brandon and all that kind of stuff. Broke my mom's heart, broke yours when we traded him to the old Washington Bullets. But Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Try to forget that.
Oh,
And then
awful.
him and Brad Doherty, inseparable, man. Great runs. So that's our list.
And you know what else Brad's known for? He and Larry Nance used to go out and shoot squirrel outside the Richfield Coliseum.
Yeah,
They would
Brad
go out there and
definitely country
trap.
boy. They talk about MJ's gonna get a NASCAR team, but Brad Doherty was the
He's
first
already
guy.
got one.
He's an analysis for NASCAR.
Yeah, he's back on channel
Big fella.
NBC.
I
And he
can't
does a great
imagine him
job with
fitting.
Austin, doesn't he? With the Cavs.
Yeah, yeah. I love when he comes in, how he breaks it down.
Well, he's not. You know who his 43 is after, right? Why he took the number 43? The
Richard
King.
Petty.
Yeah.
Richard Petty. So Brad Doherty, he's kind of a little different brother, man. Up from the Black Hills of North Carolina down to the Black Oval of southeast Southeast United States, and then comes to the North Coast and plays basketball. And the guy from in Oklahoma, they end up playing in they both end up playing in the ACC, one in North Carolina, one in Georgia Tech, and then they end up playing. Wasn't the wine and gold. I didn't like the colors, but still followed the team.
Over there, right?
Yeah, I was there. The shot,
I
man.
like the
Um,
creamsicle ones. You didn't like the creamsicles? The all
with
orange?
with World Be Free.
Yeah, but then
No,
they wore them with Price and Doherty in them the first year or so. But then
yeah,
they went to the like the blue.
yeah. We. It was different. We were coming out of the stepping years. We needed a new direction. So it was different. Right now, you think, man, why would you let go of the wine and gold? Because that was unique. You had the Pirates had yellow. I mean, there was everybody was grays and blues and blacks.
Now the wine and
So
gold.
the wine and gold was different, but Stepien almost we almost lost that franchise with Stepien. So they came out from behind that new ownership. They went a different way. They wanted to get away,
Well, they gave us
but
the number
it
ones.
came
That's
back.
how we got Doherty. They just gave us number ones. Now
Yeah,
we had to pick and do all that stuff.
Stepien
But we didn't get
Stepien
Doherty.
rule to this
Right, the
day.
Stepien rule. So they gave us a number one, but we didn't have number one. We actually traded Roy Henson and somebody else to the Sixers,
You're
the
right.
rights to draft Brad Doherty. Ended up being
Right.
that because
So,
Roy Henson could play.
uh, so I hope you enjoyed the show. Um, like I said, if you're looking at this show and you want to see more of the CLE, brothers from the CLE, take a look at our first podcast. It's our second podcast. And then about 2 weeks down the line, I'm sure we'll do this probably after the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll do our final top 10.
And Richie's
So
got he's got his Brookside Letterman jacket out
yeah,
with the pins. Yes,
it's my
sir.
cardigan.
Yeah.
My mom made me a cardigan. My
Hey,
mom's like,
I,
I'm not
I,
buying
I've got a,
no varsity jacket, so we got the black.
I've got the red jacket.
Yeah, if you guys are from Lorraine, Elyria area, or anybody from North, if you know about in Lorraine County, my mom got this black cardigan from. They used to call it. It was Value City, the South
Oh,
Side
okay.
Mall. I used to call it if you're from Elyria. And my mom sold my varsity B on there in
Sweet.
'83.
Hey, let
So
me ask you this. Talking about Gaylord Perry. Did your
yeah,
parents con you and the Gaylords over the bridge
yeah.
there in Lawrence? My
No,
dad,
I've been
my dad and
I've been
mom would go,
to
"We're going to Gaylord's. If you walk around, you might see Gaylord Perry." That's the only reason they could get me to think. Lied to me. Rich, he didn't own that
yeah.
store. Damn.
Yeah, nothing to do with Gaylord Period. Nothing to do with it.
The
It
only
was
way they could
Giant
get me
Tigers
there.
before that.
Oh, what was it?
Yeah, almost Giant Tigers before that. They almost built a new Lorraine High School on that property.
Oh,
They were going to
really?
run everything. Yeah, they were going to run. They wanted it to be downtown. They were trying to revitalize that area, and they were going to run all that property because it goes all the way back to the river.
Oh no, it's
They were going to
nice.
run it all the way down. Yeah,
Is
and
that right off
then
Broadway? Is it
they were
right
going to
off
have
Broadway?
yeah, it's on Elyria Avenue and it merges with Broadway on around 17th Street.
Okay.
That's the corner of 21st. And then it was going to be a back road. And then they were actually going to build a stadium there, right?
Oh,
Everything was
that'd have
going
been
to be kind
sweet.
of off the river and down there.
Oh, that'd been
Yeah, and
nice.
then
Why
rec
didn't they do it?
center and all
Why
that.
didn't they do it?
Ah, man. Uh, you know,
No vision.
sometimes people don't have the vision and they don't think big. They don't think into the future. So we will look into the past, and we'll have our top 10 again. uh, you can comment on YouTube and tell us about your top 10. We'll wait for the master producer Graham to chop this up
He's already
and
been in
put it
here.
together.
Remember to talk loud. Like
Yeah,
evidently,
and
when I go up
he,
and
he
down a little
wants
bit.
he wants us to be monotone, um,
Yeah.
like at the late great Alec Trebek.
Oh,
But I
geez.
think we did. I think we did okay. Hey, at this point, Steve, all we can do is get better.
Yeah.
So
Get better.
that's what I'll say.
Gonna have some bumper music. I hope.
Hey,
Little
a
Michael
little
Stanley.
Michael Stanley's cool with me. You know, I'm an
SB, man.
R&B jazz brother. That's another thing I wanted to say about Tom Darden. Had that great jazz
Oh,
show on
that's right.
Sunday night, WMMS. We could go on and on, man. So we're gonna get out of here. Hey, let me know when Graham's got it up.
Oh,
So check out CLE, Brothers from the CLE. Our first show, our first podcast at 83 viewers and 11 subscribers.
right, right. And everybody have a
Take
good
care.
Thanksgiving and be safe. Be safe.
Be
Be
safe.
safe.
Amen. Take care. Stay healthy. Stay positive.
Yes,
We're
sir.
out.